All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into the Himalayas.
Oh.
But not like a typical travel brochure thing.
Right.
We're going deep into the mystical side, you know, all those stories and legends.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The Himalayas have always had this, like, aura of mystery around them.
Exactly. And to guide us, we have insights from Sanjeev Malik.
Okay.
He's a spiritual coach, expert in past life regression,
Oh.
and claims to have, get this, experienced the Himalayas through astral travel.
Astral travel, so, like, out-of-body experience.
Exactly, where your consciousness leaves your body and travels to other realms, dimensions even.
That's pretty far out there, but definitely fascinating.
Oh, absolutely. And Malik claims to have encountered some incredible things, powerful energies, ancient yogis, even portals to other dimensions.
Portals, wow.
So we're going to break down some of his most fascinating experiences and
wait.
see if there's anything, you know, that resonates with you.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what we uncover.
One of the things that really struck me was how Malik describes feeling this intense energy even before he started astral traveling.
Oh,
It's like he was physically in the Himalayas just being there,
yeah.
and it felt like this energy was trying to connect with him.
Huh. That's interesting because, you know, some people believe certain places hold unique energetic vibrations,
Right?
and that these vibrations can affect us, even on a subtle level.
And Malik actually received a message from this energy.
Really? What kind of message?
Something about repaying a spiritual debt
A spiritual debt.
to the land and its people.
That's a new one for me. What could that even mean?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
Well, in some spiritual traditions, it's believed we carry, you know, karmic imprints
Right.
from past lives, unfinished business, if you will.
Like a soul contract.
Exactly. And these imprints can draw us back to certain places or situations, you know, to resolve those karmic ties.
So is it possible that Malik was drawn to the Himalayas because of some unresolved karma from a past life?
Could be. It makes you think about why we feel drawn to certain places.
Right.
You know, inexplicably, maybe it's not just random chance, but a deeper connection, like our soul remembers something.
Wow, that's a pretty powerful thought.
It is, isn't it?
So Malik eventually starts astral traveling in the Himalayas,
Okay.
and he describes Mount Kailash, that sacred peak, as the brightest energy point on Earth. He talks about it like almost like a power source for the planet,
Wow.
emanating these golden blue auras.
That's vivid.
And he even describes encountering a massive energy form of Lord Shiva there.
Interesting. Well, Mount Kailash is incredibly significant.
Yeah.
In Hinduism, Buddhism, it's considered a vortex of energy.
Right.
A place where, you know, the veil between dimensions is thin.
Like a portal.
Maybe. And Lord Shiva in Hindu mythology
Yeah.
is associated with transformation, destruction.
Right, the cosmic dance.
Exactly. So it makes sense that Malik would encounter that kind of energy there.
But here's where things get really interesting. Malik says on his first attempt to, you know, astrally reach Mount Kailash,
Yeah.
he was pushed back.
Push back.
Like repelled.
Wow.
He believes it was because he didn't have enough energetic protection.
Energetic protection, like some kind of spiritual shield.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a concept that comes up in a lot of mystical traditions, you know, like there are different levels of consciousness or vibration.
Right.
And you need to be, you know, aligned with that realm to access it safely.
So it's not as simple as just like deciding to travel somewhere.
No.
You need some kind of like preparation or training.
That's what many practitioners believe. They say it requires inner work, purification, raising your own vibration.
To match the frequency of the realm you're trying to access.
Exactly. It's not just about the physical journey, but the inner one too.
This is making me think about all those stories of people disappearing in the Himalayas.
Oh, yeah.
Could it be that some of them stumbled upon these higher realms without being prepared?
That's a fascinating question. We often dismiss those stories as myths or legends.
Right.
But what if there's more to it?
Yeah.
What if those individuals somehow access these other dimensions, you know, intentionally or accidentally?
Wow. Okay. So we've got this concept of spiritual debt.
Right.
Powerful energy centers, the need for protection
Yeah.
when exploring other realms. But Malik doesn't stop there.
Oh.
He also claims to have encountered portals in the Himalayas,
Portals.
gateways to other dimensions.
Now, that's where things start to get really mind-bending.
I know, right?
The idea of portals to other worlds, it's been around for centuries.
Yeah, it's in so many myths and legends.
Exactly. But what if they're more than just stories?
Malik even references ancient texts like the Mahabharata, which also mention these hidden passages.
Interesting. But how do you find them?
Yeah, and are they accessible to everyone?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is.
If they exist, are they physical locations? Or do we access them through, altered states of consciousness?
With astral travel.
Exactly.
And Malik describes one experience that really stuck with me, his vision of the Vaitarani River.
The river of blood.
Yeah, in Hindu mythology.
Right.
And he describes souls struggling to cross it, weighed down by their actions in past lives.
The Vaitarani River is often interpreted symbolically, representing the challenges of the afterlife, the karmic consequences.
So it's like a reminder that our choices have consequences. Not just in this life, but maybe in the afterlife too.
That's one way to look at it. It definitely emphasizes the importance of living ethically, consciously, recognizing the impact of our actions.
For sure, on ourselves and others.
Exactly.
Wow, this is pretty intense stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Powerful energies, portals.
Right.
The idea that our actions have consequences even after death. But Malik's experiences, they don't just focus on, the challenges, the potential dangers of these realms. He also talks about a shift in consciousness. It's happening, a move from, ego-driven, material way of being to a higher state of awareness centered on service and knowledge.
That's a concept that, resonates with many spiritual traditions.
Right.
This idea of a collective evolution of consciousness.
Like humanity's waking up.
Yeah, like we're gradually waking up to a greater reality, a more interconnected, compassionate way of being.
And Malik believes this transformation is actually being orchestrated from the Himalayas.
Really?
By these powerful yogis he encountered.
The Himalayas have always been considered a sacred space.
Right.
A place where those spiritual energies are amplified.
Like they're concentrated there.
Exactly. And many believe that, enlightened beings.
Yogis, masters.
Yeah. They reside in these mountains working behind the scenes.
Guiding humanity's evolution.
It's a fascinating thought.
It is. It's like they're the unseen architects of this shift, using their energy, their wisdom to nudge us towards a higher path. And Malik even suggests that this recent rise in popularity of certain spiritual figures like Premanandji Maharaj Bhageshwardam, he sees it as a deliberate act by these Himalayan yogis.
To spread their message.
Yeah, to reach a wider audience.
It's interesting to consider that possibility, right? That there are forces beyond our perception that are influencing events globally even.
It's almost like they're planting seeds of awareness, using these figures as conduits to transmit their teachings, inspire positive change.
Right.
And then there's the Kumbh Mela.
Oh, yeah, the massive pilgrimage.
Millions of people.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Malik believes that was also orchestrated
by the yogis.
By these yogis to counter negative energies and help shift the collective consciousness.
Large gatherings like that, they do have a certain energy, a collective energy field.
Like a global meditation.
Yeah, amplifying those positive vibrations.
Sending them out into the world.
It's a beautiful thought.
It is, but Malik also reminds us that this journey of spiritual evolution, it's not always easy.
No.
He describes encountering individuals who were once Himalayan yogis
in past lives,
but were sent back
to Earth.
To experience the material world again.
Oh, wow.
It highlights that, cyclical nature of spiritual growth.
It's not always linear?
No, there can be setbacks, detours.
Falls from grace even.
Like we're all climbing this mountain of consciousness, and sometimes we stumble, slide back down.
But we keep climbing, you gotta keep getting back up and back up.
And continuing the ascent.
And even those who reach, a high level, they might choose to return.
To help others.
To the material world, to help others.
Wow,
it's a beautiful example of compassion, service.
It is.
So we've got this tapestry of ideas.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Spiritual debt, energy centers.
Portals, a shift in consciousness.
Orchestrated by these unseen forces.
Yeah, and the cyclical nature of growth.
It's a lot to digest. not your typical Himalayan travelogue.
No, it's not.
But it raises some important questions.
About reality, our place in the cosmos.
The potential for transformation.
It's like we're peering behind the veil,
Yeah.
catching glimpses of a hidden world.
What if we're capable of far more than we realize?
Right. What if our consciousness isn't limited?
To our physical bodies.
To our bodies, but can extend beyond space and time.
That's the question.
And if these Himalayan yogis, these masters, are actively guiding humanity.
How do we tap into that?
How do we tap into their wisdom, their guidance?
That's worth pondering.
It is.
Maybe it starts with, cultivating a sense of openness. Curiosity, willingness to explore.
To go beyond our comfort zones.
Yeah, exactly. Entertain those possibilities.
Even if they seem fantastical.
Yeah.
Maybe it's about paying attention.
To those nudges.
To those subtle nudges, those synchronicities.
Why, those moments of intuition.
That guide us towards a deeper understanding.
Of ourselves, the universe.
And maybe, just maybe, by aligning ourselves with these higher vibrations.
Cultivating compassion, service.
The thirst for knowledge.
We can become active participants.
In this evolution of consciousness.
It's a beautiful possibility.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into the Himalayas.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, hasn't it?
It has, from astral travel to, portals and those ancient yogis guiding humanity.
It's definitely challenged how we think about, reality itself.
It makes you wonder if these higher realms, these dimensions,
right?
If they're actually accessible to us, how do we tap into them?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
Do we all have to become, astral travelers or meditate for years in a cave?
Right.
Well, remember Malik talked about those individuals who were once yogis, but were sent back to experience the material world.
Right.
It suggests that even those who, reach those high levels, they might choose to engage with the everyday world.
So it's not about escaping?
No, not necessarily.
But bringing those higher vibes, that awareness into our lives.
Exactly. And there are many practices that can help us do that.
Like what?
Well, meditation, for one.
Meditation, yeah.
It's a powerful tool for, quieting the mind.
Right, connecting with ourselves.
Accessing those higher states.
And it doesn't have to be this big elaborate thing.
No, not at all.
Even a few minutes of breathing or contemplation.
Exactly. And beyond that, there's yoga, energy healing.
Being in nature.
Spending time in nature, yeah.
It's about finding what works for you, what helps you feel grounded, connected, aligned.
With that sense of purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
And remember, it's not just about us. Malik's experiences highlight that interconnected.
No, consciousness.
Right. Our choices, our actions, they ripple out.
We're all connected.
We are.
And if those yogis are guiding humanity, maybe we can play a role in that.
Even in our daily lives.
Yeah, how so?
By cultivating compassion, kindness, understanding.
Service to others.
Being willing to serve.
Yeah.
Yeah, we contribute to that shift.
It's like we're all
threads
in this tapestry of existence.
And each act of kindness, each moment of awareness
makes a difference.
Adds to the beauty, the harmony.
It's a powerful thought.
It is. That even amidst the chaos,
we have the power to change things.
To be agents of positive change.
By aligning with those higher vibes.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
I
want to leave you with a question.
Okay.
If the Himalayas are this source of energy, of guidance, how can you tap into that?
In your own life.
Right here, right now.
What practices resonate with you?
What choices can you make?
To cultivate that awareness, compassion, connection.
The wisdom of the mountains.
It's an inner journey.
The Himalayas might be a symbol, a distant beacon.
But it starts within.
It does. Thanks for joining us on this exploration.
It's been a pleasure.
And we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Into the mysteries of the universe.
Until then, keep seeking, keep exploring,